The year is 2025. The political landscape of the United States has been redrawn time and again. One community, however, finds itself grappling with a particularly poignant irony. Cuban American voters who once championed Donald Trump's policies now face the unsettling reality of deportation fears. What began as unwavering support for a president who promised a strong stance on immigration has transformed into a wave of regret and uncertainty. This shift in sentiment, driven by recent changes in immigration policies and a series of legal battles, has left many Cuban Americans feeling betrayed and apprehensive about their future in the country they call home. The Cuban American community, long recognized for its anti-communist stance and staunch Republican leanings, finds itself at a crossroads. The very policies they once believed would protect their interests now threaten to unravel the fabric of their lives in America. The irony is not lost on them. The very administration they helped bring to power now casts a long shadow of fear and uncertainty over their lives. This sense of unease is palpable in Cuban American enclaves across the nation, particularly in Florida, a state that has long served as a haven for Cuban exiles fleeing Castro's regime. The stories emerging from these communities paint a picture of disillusionment and fear. Families who once saw Trump as a beacon of hope now grapple with the possibility of being uprooted from the only home they have ever known. The American dream, once so tantalizingly close, now feels like a distant promise, slipping further out of reach with each passing day. Take for instance the Hernandez family, who fled Cuba in the 1980s, seeking a better life for their children. They built a successful business, raised a family, and embraced the values of hard work and perseverance that they believed America embodied. Staunch Republicans, they proudly cast their votes for Donald Trump in both 2016 and 2020, convinced that he would restore law and order and protect their interests. Now, with their immigration status in jeopardy due to a minor infraction committed decades ago, they face the prospect of being torn away from their children and grandchildren, their American dream turning into an American nightmare. Maria Rodriguez, a single mother who escaped political persecution in Cuba, echoed this sentiment. She worked tirelessly as a nurse, putting her children through college and instilling in them the belief that anything was possible in America. She, too, was drawn to Trump's promises of a strong America, believing that he would keep her family safe. Now, she lives in constant fear of being detained and separated from her children, the very people she sacrificed everything for. These stories, unfortunately, are not isolated incidents. They represent a growing trend within the Cuban American community, a community grappling with the unintended consequences of their political choices. Their disillusionment is palpable, their fear, undeniable. The very people who once felt most secure in their American identity now question their place in a nation that seems increasingly hostile to immigrants. What led to this dramatic shift in sentiment? The answer lies in a confluence of factors, starting with the Trump administration's aggressive approach to immigration enforcement. The administration's zero-tolerance policy, which resulted in the separation of thousands of migrant families at the border, sent shockwaves through immigrant communities across the country, including Cuban Americans. The message was clear: no one was exempt from the administration's draconian interpretation of immigration law. Adding to this sense of unease was the administration's decision to end the wet foot, dry foot policy, a long-standing agreement that allowed Cubans who reached U.S. soil to stay and apply for permanent residency after 1 year. This policy, while controversial, provided a lifeline for countless Cubans fleeing political persecution and economic hardship. Its termination sent a chilling message to the Cuban American community, signaling that their unique status as exiles was no longer sacrosanct. The cumulative effect of these policies was a profound sense of betrayal and disillusionment among many Cuban Americans who had once placed their faith in Trump. They felt misled, their hopes for a more secure future dashed against the rocks of political expediency. The realization that their American dream was conditional, subject to the whims of a fickle political landscape, left many feeling vulnerable and uncertain. Navigating a complex system, especially one that is deeply entrenched in bureaucracy, can often feel like an insurmountable challenge. The layers of regulations, the intricate web of protocols, and the ever-present red tape can be daunting. But with patience and persistence, it is possible to find a way through. Bridging the political gap requires more than just dialogue. It demands empathy, understanding, and a willingness to see the world from another's perspective. In a polarized environment, these qualities are crucial for fostering genuine connection and finding common ground. The echoes of the past often reverberate into our present, shaping our fears for the future. History has a way of reminding us of the lessons we've learned and sometimes the ones we've forgotten. As we look forward, it's essential to remember where we've been and to use that knowledge to guide us toward a better future.